Alrighty. Well, we'll just kind of do this real quick, through 45 minutes or so. If you want, we'll ask each other 3 questions each, whatever, and then we'll open it up to Q&A. And then we'll just do 45 minutes or so, nothing too long.
Gotcha.
I'm assuming we're ready to go. Hey everybody. Well, we'll just kind of do this real quick, through 45 minutes or so. If you want, we'll ask each other 3 questions each. Let me just mute whatever, and then we'll. All right, everybody. Thanks a lot for joining us. It's me and the one and only, the real leader of the referral board, Justin from Verge.
Cheers.
I wanna first come out and say that I am right now one of the I think I'm one of the leaderboard users. It's just me, but obviously that was a test that we were running. Ruben, the same thing. So we will disqualify ourselves from this week, and we will have our names removed sometime next week because we have to remove a couple of employees. We're also doing tests and everything, making sure everything was fine for the live production launch of the website. So
I think it's a good thing though that you came in first. It's your project that shows.
Well, only 9? Shit, then I'm not doing a good job.
You put in the most work, so.
I'm not doing a good job if it's only 9 referrals, right? But no, it's great. It's good that we have. You have 9, right? I mean, that's always nice.
But that's just partners, right? I mean, that's just not users overall, is it?
That is correct. That is not just users. I think at the end of the day,
people that actually sign up to be a partner. So.
Yes. The partner stuff is obviously it attracts different people. People
right.
who are really into the project, but also they like all the aspects that we're providing, right? I mean, everybody's going to be attracted for different reasons, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've traded decent volume on exchanges, but I'm not a partner on any of them. So
yeah, and being a partner is just pretty. I think it's a pretty unique thing, Nobody's ever really done that, but I mean, you see exchanges like Binance, and we have our stories with Binance, but you see exchanges like Binance that do $400 million, and really the only people that are benefiting are maybe 30 people, right? Maybe 100 indirectly, right? So, and to me, I was just like, well, that's kind of. Whatever, that's kind of old school. That's what VCs have been doing for so long. How is this changing our level of society in some way, right? So it was very unique, but we got so much crap for so long because we changed our program and what we're gonna do with eFIN I think 6 times. It's hard because you're trying to get feedback. You don't know what's gonna work and what's not. So
yeah.
But anyway, I think the way we're gonna run this is because we didn't really have much of an agenda or anything. And we haven't spoken for a very long time. So I think what we could do is just maybe do 3 questions each. Just, any questions, anything you want whatsoever. And then we'll take it out to the YouTube crowd for any of the questions that they want to ask. And I guess, one of our team members can just write some questions and see what makes sense. I'll check my phone in case there's any other questions there. So yeah. One thing I want to mention before we start is that the price of the partnership programs will increase only because we really wanted to give the community members and the people that really have been around with us during this whole winter bear market first chance at this really low price. So we will be raising the price to 495 euros starting at the end of March, right before the launch of our testnets. And then that way, anybody that wants to join for the next couple of weeks, and that's it. But we have over 1,000 people confirmed. We have more than 120 something platinum members, which is actually pretty impressive.
Nice.
We did, so yeah, it's really impressive and really excited. Obviously we need to get a lot of those numbers up. Or at least obviously we want to, because at the end of the day we want exchanges really to succeed, right? Right now I think we have almost 20,000 people signed up, but that does not really justify people who are actively daily trading, right? It doesn't mean daily active users. So the higher we have those numbers of signups, the higher chance we have more daily active users. So yeah, that's where I wanted to start off, at least with that statement. So I guess go ahead, start with any question you have or anything, and then we can kind of go from there.
So you want me to ask you questions?
Yeah. If you have any questions to ask.
I guess I'll probably jump to some of the ones that I see probably the most.
Yeah.
What is your projected date for eFIN being fully launched?
Yeah, so what we decided to do is break it up into stages. The expected goal is that we'll have the wallets released sometime this month. We're looking at maybe a week or two from now. And then
Awesome.
that is because we wanted people to be familiar with it. We wanted to get people familiar with using a wallet, an actual desktop wallet that has multi-currency and stuff like that.
Right,
We want to
right.
have some tutorials, and then we will release the coins. Then after we release the coins, then after that we will release the exchange. We're looking at sometime in April, perhaps late April, maybe May. The delay for that is because of partial orders. Basically, the ability to the problem with the decentralized exchange today is that every order on a decentralized like BISC is by appointment. So if you put an order to
Right.
buy 1,000 TPay, you have somebody who has to sell you 1,000 TPay. That's really hard.
Right.
Maybe somebody's
Yeah.
willing to sell you 50 TPay, 100, 200, 257, and you can eat up that order. That's not possible with the decentralized exchange. So we went back to the team, and our beta testers actually were really adamant about this. They said, like, it's okay that if we delay, if we have to. It takes about a month to code and obviously weeks and weeks to test. That's the issue. It's not that we don't want to do it. It's not that we can't launch. We could launch today. Exactly.
Nobody's done it like this
That's
before.
nobody. So the thing is, like, we could launch it today exactly how it would not be for basically any other decentralized exchange, which means
Sure.
an order. And that's exactly what happened. We said, well, can you do it today? It's like, well, if we delay 2 months more, will we get FUD? Yes, we'll get some crap. But will the product be 10 times better? And if the answer is yes, then, or the experience be better by a factor of X, if the answer is yes, then we're okay.
Well, I know how you are too. You're one of those guys. Okay, so do we have it done? I thought of another idea. Let's add that. But no, it's a good idea. I mean, nobody's done that before, and that's probably one of the key factors that make centralized exchanges still so popular is the fact that they have gigantic order books that are easily liquidated and filled, and you can't really do that on a decentralized exchange yet.
To answer that, you can have books, but the thing is, you do not see trades happening on those books on a decentralized exchange.
Right.
So what we have is a few third parties and OTC companies that we're talking to, because OTCs actually like decentralized exchanges because they know they're getting the coins. So if they want to go buy the coin, they can go directly to somebody that's going to send them the coins, right? Versus having to go through this whole system and party or whatever, right? So what we're doing is...
I know, but why don't you explain really quick what OTC is in crypto? Because I don't think a lot of people understand OTC and how none of it is reflected on sites like CoinMarketCap and such.
Yeah, so OTC means over the counter, and what it really means is that it's private transactions that occur basically offline, okay?
And generally they're really big.
They're really big. In general, they're really big. And the way it works is sometimes when you do like 100, 200 Bitcoin orders, they'll go to the market, and sometimes they'll go to an exchange if it's too much, or a network of exchanges, but they try not to. Or they
even larger orders than that.
I mean, I know orders of like 500 Bitcoin, 2,000, 5,000 Bitcoin that I see all the time. And these are huge institutions. Institutions are not going to go on Binance. They're not going to go, on some of these centralized exchanges because if they do an order,
that's because they would drive the price up, 10, 15,
exactly.
20, 35%,
Exactly. And if there were to be a big order, let's say of like, 10,000 Bitcoin, OTC, chances are maybe it'll get a bump of a few percent, right? But if you did it on an exchange, like, I mean, just doing a 5 Bitcoin order on certain coins, I mean, you would basically get a 50% jump, right?
Yeah.
So OTCs basically, their concern is not making the book, it's taking the book. Who's going to take it? So they can have a book of sell orders and buy orders to create some level of arbitrage so they can profit, right? I mean, at the end of the day, we've done some OTC orders ourselves. When we go and we've converted our Bitcoin to euros to buy the bank stake, right? TokenPay Space AG did that. Now, when we did that, I think it was a few hundred Bitcoin, and they said they gave us a price, And we were like, oh, that's a shitty price. And we were like, can you break it up? Break it up into 20 Bitcoin or break it up into 30 Bitcoin. And we're like, and then once we dropped it from like a 250 or 300 Bitcoin order, we dropped it to like 20. The price was literally spot, which is literally what you see in CoinMarketCap. And we were like, okay, do it. And then we waited like 10 minutes, do another one. And then eventually we got the highest price, but we had to do small orders.
Yeah.
So,
but it's actually beneficial for everybody on both sides.
Totally.
Because when somebody's getting paid a large amount of coins over the counter, if they just dump it on an exchange, they're going to also drive the price down. So just like the buyer driving the price up when buying a large amount, the seller also drives the price down.
The reason why there was a lot more
OTCs are really convenient for
they're very convenient, and the reason why Bitcoin was a little bit more volatile before was because there was no OTC. In fact, the OTC was Bitcoin talk.
Yeah,
right? I mean, you think about it. It was Bitcoin talk. Like, hey, dude, do you want to buy some Bitcoin?
And most transactions took place on Coinbase for a very long time.
Right, exactly. So, I mean, it's just a matter of that. So,
I think it's been really interesting to see through. Sorry to cut you off or go off topic for a second, but I think it's been really interesting to see in the bear market how diversified the exchange field is still going, regardless of the volume decreasing. Coinbase is still dropping places, and new exchanges are still gaining, a share of Bitcoin's overall volume. During a market that's gone down, which obviously it feels now like we're starting to go back up.
Yeah.
Which is a relief for everybody, I'm sure, but.
So this reminds
definitely
me.
Interesting.
This reminds me a lot, Justin, of what happened after September 11th in 2001, in the sense that a new industry was created right after that. So after September 11th, 2001, I kid you not, more than 100 and something biometric and security companies were formed to basically go after the war of terrorism, right? Which is, we're talking about from literally the gamut: biometric device, which is retinal scanning, fingerprints, to scanners for the airports,
facial recognition,
everything. And then there was the people that made the materials for the soldiers. It was Kevlar bodysuits and all this stuff, and armor for tanks. I mean, think about it. The previous war was in the early 90s, and all of a sudden that we're in a new war. So all of a sudden, like, there was 150 companies that came out. And by the end, there were probably maybe like 10 or 5 that were left, because the other ones either went bankrupt or they got bought out. Yeah. And what this is basically what's happening with the exchanges. There is a level of a hurdle rate now to be able to start one. In fact, there's like this company in India that for like 20 grand you can have a centralized exchange. Okay, and it's been coded from but I mean, obviously you don't know what the security level is. You still have to always
probably not very good.
Yeah, I know, right, exactly, right. And so the point is that any dummy that thinks that they're smart enough to really think that they can do it, they have this dream of, I'm going to be an exchange, I'm going to be as big as Binance or whatever it is, and they think that they're being sold as false hope, and they're going to buy this stuff, and that's why you have, I think, 400 or 300 exchanges. I think CoinMarketCap came out and said they have a longer list for exchanges to be listed on their website than new coins.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So
what's really blows my mind on that note is it's with my mentality anyway. When I got into crypto and I started a blockchain project, I thought to myself, man, the last thing I'd ever want to start is an exchange, and that's because I'd be responsible for everybody's money. Mm-hmm. And that is probably one of the last responsibilities I would ever want in my entire life, is to be like the head of a bank, or, the guy who's got everybody's gold. That's a nightmare.
When we were looking at options, we were looking at doing a centralized. And we contacted a bunch of companies. Some companies claimed to be, the same software that Wall Street used, and that their trading was this and all that. And we were given quotes of like $250,000, $400,000 in implementation and this and that and blah, 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 blah. And I just kept on thinking to myself, I was like, do I really want to run an exchange and deal with all that stuff?
And not only that, but those prices are just the beginning.
Oh no, exactly. It's the infrastructure.
That's just to get it.
Exactly. It was just the license. It was just the license of the software, and it included updates and all that stuff. And what happened was, we did a model. We did a full model, financial model. I asked my team in Romania, and I asked one of our main guys there, and I said, I want you to create a model and tell me how many people we have to hire. And so what he did was he looked at all the job descriptions of all the open job positions, and he was like basically trying to model out an actual organizational tree of what this would entail. A really good exchange, what would it entail? And it basically got to the point where it was like $1 million, you know, when you started adding it up, like a really good, well-run one that was organized, that you knew that you would have. And that's just million. Then you have capital that you need to have in there for liquidity. Then you have to have either...
And advertising.
And advertising. And then we were like,
who's going to know about it?
Exactly. And then if you don't have an interesting structure, then... or Binance got really lucky, if you think about it, in the sense that, okay, I want to say that they have obviously been around for a while. At least the executives or the people there have been around doing stuff for 3 or 4 years, and that's not the luck part. The luck part was that they launched 3 or 4 months before, before the boom, right? And then they were able to take this huge wave, and they added ton of coins for free in the beginning, and then after a while they were like, all right, now we can make money on the trading and listing coins, and they're changed their model. Now they're making money on getting failed token sales, going on Launchpad and selling them to new people as if they're amazing new projects. I don't know if you've noticed, but like we looked at the last 2 or 3 projects that were on the Launchpad, there were failed token sales, bona fide failed token sales during almost the bubble almost like beginning of 2018, and all they did was put lipstick on a pig. And they put it on the Launchpad, and they sell out in 10 seconds, and they sell out in 30 seconds, and you're like, what the hell is this? And, they have, these scores, and you're just like, this is nuts. So, but in turn, when we were making the decision of $1 million, whatever, we started, my business partners and I were like, okay, why don't we just do something very unique or a niche and do a decentralized exchange? I'm like, I like that. I don't have to worry about holding anybody's coins.
Have you thought about something like that for the future of eFIN, having the ability to do like a crowd sale or something like that on the platform?
Yes, that is in the works. We were actually planning on calling it something. I'm not sure if I want to say the name, but we're calling calling it Blast.
Nice.
And it's basically...
Yeah, these are unscripted questions, by the way. I'm putting Derek on the spot.
You're getting some inside info as well. So we're definitely in the plans. We already have some domain names already available. Obviously, we like domain names because we think they're great assets. They're just like real estate. But we're planning on calling it Blast, and it's basically to allow specific projects or certain projects to do stuff. There's a lot of people that are starting to contact us. There's companies that have done like arbitrage stuff with crypto and different stuff, and they want to put it in, and now we're trying to create like different models for them. It's like, do you want to do a traditional token sale, or are you trying to do something else? Are you trying to get people a part of the the revenues like we're doing? And because we have this whole platform that we built with eFIN, what you see in the website really isn't just for eFIN, it's actually a platform for every other project. So one of the major projects that we're going to bring online is CryptoBet, which is a domain name that we bought for like $90,000. It's a great domain name. In fact, it's probably worth a few $100,000 today. And basically, we're going to do something very similar there. There'll be a token attached to it, and there'll be a rewards token where there'll be, I think what we're calling is behavioral mining, which is for every time that you actually play, you get, C-bet. And so it's actually TronBet has that, something like that with, if you notice, there's only like 3 to 5 businesses today in crypto that are making money, depending on location and stuff like that. So there's some exchanges that are making money. Not all are making money. Some mining places are making money, some are not, right? Gambling is making money, and that's just the way it is. Gambling
that'll always make money.
Always makes money, but now it's in crypto. Now they're actually doing a really good job, right? Lending of crypto is making money. In other words, like platforms like Nexo and Sol, to some extent, they're actually making money because those are basically people who are betting short on Bitcoin. So
I think Poloniex used to have that ability too.
Yes, a lot of them did. Poloniex is now really going to drastically change over the next 2 to 3 years. They're going to definitely be more of a platform. You're going to watch. Poloniex will either have their name changed to Circle something, and Seed Invest, which is a company they bought as well, will list a lot of the private companies that that people have been able to invest in. So like I invested in a company called The Hustle, like a very, very small investment. This is before TokenPay stuff or anything like that. This is my personal funds. When I barely had that much money to put in, I put like $5,000 in, and I had like a piece of the shares. And this was a company that was private, and through the Obama administration, they had like this little loophole that you can do crowdfunding for companies. And so Circle bought Seed Invest, and what I do believe is going to happen is a lot of those companies that got funded will actually go on this platform and be tokenized. And so they're going to use Poloniex.
So they're almost like making their own stock market.
That is exactly what's happening. And they've chosen Poloniex because they're US, and I guess they like the management team, and they're trying to use maybe a learning curve. They probably spent too much. I mean, that's maybe an opinion, but they paid $400 million for that. Whether that's really the right number or not, I mean, that's up to them. But at the end of the day, they paid a very big money. Now, that could be a fake number. Sometimes these deals, the headline number is 400 million, but the real number could be 100. And if they meet certain milestones, they can get to 400, right?
Right.
So I do see this happening.
That was really big during the .com bubble.
Right, exactly, where you had these huge numbers and they didn't, unless they met certain numbers, it just really didn't mean anything.
Sure.
So, all right, I'll ask you a question. Okay, so you asked about my launch. When is officially the Verge blockchain going to be out, like the final one?
We just released the beta today for our new code base. So I would guess, this part is really kind of up to the community now, because obviously we look for feedback, similar to how, you guys have been doing the beta. I could talk about the beta testing you guys are doing with eFIN, right? Yeah. Similar to how you guys have, the eFIN beta stuff going on. It's the same thing for us. We don't know necessarily what bugs. We've identified some bugs and we've listed them, but we don't necessarily we haven't identified all of them. So we need the community's input and the people who are going to be beta testing's input. But a beta is a good place. Like when we were in alpha, we had no idea when we'd be launching a beta. Now that we have a beta out, it looks really good, and I'm guessing maybe another couple of weeks to a month.
So you recommend after redoing the whole code base, did you do a fork of the new code and then just add features, or did you really like redo everything again?
We just took Bitcoin 17 and then just added everything
to
it.
Okay, so I guess okay. And so we're doing the same thing. It's a lot of work.
And it's
monumental. It's monumental. Now,
there's always that one guy on Twitter that's like, "Come on, hurry up! What are you doing?"
Well, that guy doesn't give a shit about the code.
Oh yeah, he has no idea.
The reality is, they ask us all the time. I've gotten extorted already several times about stupid things, and I literally threatened, says, if you delay this, this is gonna happen, and and everybody's gonna hate you. And I was like, wow, like for real, like I'm trying to make this product better.
Oh wait, yeah. So I have one more question that I want to add. So since the last time we spoke, and since you got in, what's your opinion now on how all of this crazy stuff works as the leader of a project? People are crazy, right?
Let me put it this way. I didn't think that you had thick skin, but now I really understand the level of thick skin that you have.
Oh yeah, man! It's like alligator.
Dude, I'm too nice sometimes, and I talk to everybody, and it gets me in trouble when I talk to everybody, and I just like...
I think a lot of people think that I'm bitter because they see how I type sometimes online, and I'm not bitter at all. This has just become my personality and who I am. You might say something, and I might be happy and say something.
Now you're scaring me.
Back, or
now
I might just cut right through you.
This is me. So I'm gonna be you in a couple of years, and I'm not sure.
It's thick skin. It's not salt,
Luckily I've had a good group of admins that have kind of helped me out and let me vet with them first before I go out in public about
the only people you should ever really take criticism from in crypto are people that are far more successful than you.
Yeah, I actually agree with you. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, I listen to you if there's anything obviously that's been going on. Obviously, given how long you've been in the space and have tried.
And when you look at 90% of the people who are going to talk negative and spread FUD, those guys don't have any management background and no software development background. So there's no reason to listen to them. Yeah. Chances are they're just trying to manipulate something to their own benefit.
Well, and that's exactly what it is. When people ask me,
they're like predators.
Yeah. Well, people ask me on private, it's like, so what date? You can tell me. What date are you gonna launch? And
Yeah,
you're like,
you can tell me,
you
man.
can
I'm not
tell
gonna tell
me,
anybody.
And then you're just like, no.
I get that too.
And it's like, what day? And I'm like, no, you can tell me.
And usually it's people that like people surprise you with that. You're like, man, I talked to you sometimes about some pretty cool stuff, and you seem really nice. I never would have thought you'd, drop this on me. Like now, suddenly I got to tell you.
At the end of the day, there are people that unfortunately really just care about people really
bottom
just
line,
care, the money and the pump, and that's pretty much it. And they're gonna be out and like, that's it, great, thanks a lot. I used you for what I needed you, and as a human being, that's actually hurts because you're just like, well, this. But I will say that, and it sounds so weird, but it's kind of like, you may have made $5,000 or whatever it is that you may have made on your trade or whatever it is you tried by doing some stupid thing like that. But the person who actually believes and understands a story, whether it's our story, Bitcoin's story, anybody's story, those are the ones that actually, will never have debt, never have a mortgage, and have their own planes. Because they really, they put their heart and soul. Well, not only that,
but the benefit to people who win, who that are like that who win, get so much more than just a financial benefit.
Agreed. Yeah. Agreed. I mean, I'm just kind of like putting the analogy on the financial side.
Yeah.
Because
you get so much more. Like when during the height of the bull market, and I looked, and Verge was almost a $4 billion network.
Yeah.
There's no amount of money that could buy the feeling that I had when I saw that actual number in front of my face on a screen. I was just like, there's no amount of money you could put on that.
Yeah. It's nuts, but I think what's gratifying, I guess, and I think I've started to appreciate it more and more is like, and I've, in the beginning, I had my beliefs about crypto in general, but the more I've been around this and the more I talk to people, the more I've kind of gone in the rabbit hole and I took the, the red pill or whatever it is. I'm just not just bullish on what Bitcoin is. I'm just bullish on the whole aspect of what we're trying to do. And when I'm literally, part of my job actually is educating.
Well, this is I've tried to explain that before to people. This is almost like there's so many problems in the world today that if you look at the ecological future, the future or the environmental future, and how we have to move away from fossil fuels. We have to. Mm-hmm. Our future depends on it. This is kind of the economical side of that.
It's true.
If we don't move to this kind of platform, we're also doomed. Just like the planet will be doomed if we don't stop putting carbon in the atmosphere. People are going to be doomed if we don't change our economic system.
Agreed. I think you're always going to have meat resistance because nobody that's been in the old establishment that's at the top doesn't want to be toppled, and they don't like the fact that this is happening. And I think that when you look at it fundamentally, when you look at like the countries in Venezuela and countries that live in really crappy governments where they have not been taking care of their people, you start to look at that and be like, yeah, crypto has a use case there.
The other issue too is just that your country's economy. It doesn't matter what you do. I mean, if you look at Venezuela as an example, it doesn't matter whether you like socialism or you hate it, because another government can intervene and change how your government works in a heartbeat.
Right.
And then it doesn't matter what your form of government is.
Correct. That's correct. It could be something else and it could still ruin, or it's kind of like getting a new coach in this football team. Everything's great in the beginning, and then after 3 or 4 or 5 years, you're like, well, this guy sucks, and let's get rid of him. Or you know what, this guy's great, but maybe he cheated, like belly cheater or whatever. But hey, you know what? We've got championships, and that's okay, whatever it is. So
I often feel like the two biggest things on the planet that we need to change are our environmental impact and how the economy works overall. There's too many people that are poor, and obviously the environment's being destroyed.
I think the internet basically was the first step to changing the probability of the poor really having a chance.
Well, I think, and the environment too. Right. I think the internet also helps, for activists and scientists, to be able to get together and share data quicker.
And share data quicker. I mean, you can do a lot of stuff. The internet was really the first step, and then money is basically in the. I think it was too early to have money in the 90s, and now it's just like, because imagine if you had money in desktop computers that were like 50 pounds. Like, do you really want to be able to hold money like that? No, that's really what it was.
My desktop still weighs that.
Yeah, that's crazy. But I mean, now you can have money on a mobile phone. It weighs like, not even, 8 ounces or whatever. Now you can go on a plane and you can go anywhere.
My desktop actually weighed 92 pounds before I put anything in it.
Wow, that's insane.
Yeah, it's a monster. You got to see this new one I got sometime. Next time you're in town.
Yeah, too many GPUs. You're mining too much.
It's insane. It looks like a spaceship.
Yeah. Let's see. Go ahead. Ask me something else.
Okay. When moon? No.
That's not
Let's see. Have you thought about doing a TokenPay meetup in the United States?
No, we have not. I actually thought about that.
Or any countries for that matter.
Yes. Costa Rica, I think, is one of the locations, just because it's so attractive to
Tropical
some
paradise.
people. And we have a lot of people, obviously, in Europe.
Yeah, it's attractive for a lot of reasons.
Yes. But I mean, it's a nice area. It's very nice and tropical, and it's got, it's pretty much
It's kind of, I think it's kind of like a literal paradise.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, you can do a lot of stuff there, and I think it's just a nice environment. The weather there's pretty good year round. There's good food. The people are, they're all nice. So yeah, that's one. If not in Europe, I don't know when. Obviously, we have our team in Romania. We have stuff in Germany and Switzerland, and those two places are too expensive to do anything. So to me, it's like
I have a two-part question for you.
Okay.
So obviously I've been around since before TokenPay started and watched this all kind of come to fruition.
Mm-hmm.
So one, does it feel how does it feel watching your community just grow larger and larger? Because I mean I've seen it. Obviously it started with a couple hundred people in the chat, and now you have like 5 figures worth of people. How do you feel watching the community get so large? And then also, how good does it feel when all these trolls tell you that you're a scammer and you're not going to do something, and then you actually complete it, and it's coming out?
Yeah, I think the first thing is I think that we've had an evolution of the type of people that we've had in our group. I think in the beginning there was a lot of people in there, just for the pump, and I think what's happening is a lot of that has left. So I think that numbers wise, even though our group went from 0 to I think at one point 20 something thousand or 19,000 or whatever, now it's down to like 13. I think it really has eliminated a lot of people that probably shouldn't have been.
Still, that's a lot of people.
It's still a lot. Yeah. I'm not discounting it at all. What I'm trying to say is that what I've come to my realization is I've met a lot of cool people during this time period. Obviously, they still have their vested interest, but I've seen people do things that I never thought, could be done. Sometimes I don't even have to ask; they just kind of do it, and I like the initiative that they're taking. Obviously, they have an incentive, or they're trying to look for an incentive, but at the same time, I think that's really nice to be able to see that. And I've had some really good, genuine conversations with people that I think are people that are in good positions in businesses today, and they help out in us in many ways. Whether it's an online marketer, somebody in finance, somebody in this, somebody that. And I always ask them when I talk to people one-on-one, I'll be like, "What do you do for a living?" And they're like, "Well, I do this." I'm like, "Oh, I'll talk about this and that." So I think for me, it's amazing to go from like the zero, really, right, to where we are now. But I think what I genuinely like the most is talking to people and connecting to them. And some of them actually flew in from Amsterdam to Romania to have dinner because they were actually afraid that we were a scam. And I said, you know what? When I'm in Romania, come and visit me. And it's always been
that's why I asked the question, is because I saw months ago, while I even had a copy of the eFIN beta, I saw people on Twitter telling you directly to you saying, "You're a scammer. You're not going to make eFIN. This is all a big scam." And I already had a copy of eFIN, so I'm like thinking to myself like, wow, who are these people wasting their breath like this? And God, retribution has got to be.
Yeah, well, my reply to them is there's an application process that's 9 pages long. Yeah, I do a little bit of KYC because I need to know who the hell if you're gonna talk shit about all of our stuff. So I'm sorry, but this is the rules. You go to any tech company, this is the reality, right? I mean,
yeah. Definitely.
So I said to him, like, listen, like if you wanna talk crap, then then talk crap.
It's really rare for a company to release alpha or beta software to the public.
Oh, very rare, and the fact that we did it, I don't want to. I mean, we're definitely at beta now, but I mean, when we were almost about to release, I said nope, let's push it back, and that was in October or something like that when I looked at kind of the first version. And what happened was in October I got a version and it was a little bit clunky and I didn't like the UX and some parts of the UX hadn't been done yet. the trading part. And I went and I looked and I said, what do we have? And I looked, I was like, nope, I don't like that anymore. I learned a lot in Romania the past 4 months working with a team. And just designing something I thought would take like a day or a week. No, it's weeks.
Yeah.
Weeks. And it's like the UX of this, and we have to think about this and what happens when this happens. And like I would go with the team in Romania, and then we hired this amazing woman come in as well. And we have Bogdan, who's basically our leader there with the product team. And it was insane. I was trying to negotiate. It's like, okay, get this in 3 weeks. And they were like, okay, we'll try. And, I said 2 weeks. And he said 4 weeks. And I said, okay, let's do 3. Well, was it 5? And it wasn't even because we wanted it to be. It was because we made changes, this, that. And then we got feedback. And then at the end, when we counted, we spent 5 weeks actually fixing it. So what we decided to do was we loved the fact that we had people involved and helping us with like little things like the UX. That what we're starting to do with a lot of our projects is we're doing the UX. We do an internal test, see what the feedback is there. Then after we do that, we basically provide a presentation or a code or something so that's at least somewhat usable. And then we open it up to our group. And then that group gives us feedback. Then we modify. We do it again just to make sure. Once we're happy with certain things, we say, okay, now we're going to code it. And then
I don't have my Telegram open right now. How many people did you have or do you have in the beta?
There's there's like 93, but I think there's 93, but I think 7 or 8 are actually employees, so it's close to 80 something. Wow. And there were a lot of people that applied, but they rejected. We rejected them, or they rejected to sign the NDA, and I said, okay, great. Well, then I'm not going to do anything. Some of them may be spies. I don't know. People are just checking. People were checking, believe it or not. Some people were there just to see if it was real.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Of course.
They weren't there. They weren't there really to like actually give us good feedback, but they were actually there to see like, is this shit real? And I was like, fine, go ahead. I don't care because I know it's real, and if I'm gonna do this, but
that's always been one of the most mind-blowing things to me is I've been called we'll talk again in like 3 years when you're used to still being called a scammer even though you keep doing stuff. One of the things that blew my mind the most that people would say pretty much everything I did, they'd say, oh, it's not going to happen, he's scamming, he's lying. And I'm like, why would I sit around and pretend instead of just leave?
Totally.
Why why would I make a chat room for beta users and give you and even bother emailing you an NDA if it's not real? Like why would I even be here responding to you? I would leave. That's not how this works.
I agree. I think to that, I mean, in regards to redemption and stuff, the reality is when it releases, they'll be upset or whatever, or who cares? I don't care. That's where the thick skin's coming in, where I think we are still have been perceived as a reputation of having a lot of delays, and I can understand that, but I think that now they're starting to see why, or they're starting to see what's going on. And what I have seen is a lot of those beta testers, they go out to the main groups and start saying, hey, this is real, I'm part of the group, I can't say what's going on, but I do know it's real and I do know it's working. They're just little things that they have to work on, but it's really close,
Yeah, I saw a guy on Twitter just a couple of weeks ago, and he was like, dead convinced. Like, he knew in his mind for a fact that eFIN was not real. and I was just like, who is this guy? Like, what is wrong with him?
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's just... I think at the end of the day, it's just insane, and I just can't. I don't even bother anymore. Let's put it that way. I don't even bother anymore.
Yeah, you really can't. Otherwise, you get nothing done.
No,
that's why for at some point you're going to need to take a hiatus from different platforms. You'll see, because you won't get anything done if you just sit around and read stuff, because the reading never ends.
I've told everybody that I will cut down my Telegram once we start launching stuff, because it's just impossible for me to be able to do all of this and
right. I mean, you get excited, and like it's like at some point you're all excited because it's your baby and there's stuff going on, but then it's like at some point, if you're going to actually get things done and make real decisions, you're going to have to back away from the from the community for a little bit.
And it's not that you don't want, right, and it's not that you don't want to distance yourself. It's just that you have.
It's for the greater good.
Right. It's like, and people will say stupid things, or like they want my attention, and I'll be like, listen, I can't answer everybody all the time, and I go, you have to understand that. Oh my God, I was having literally an argument with somebody, and somebody was saying you need to focus more on this and this and this and this, and I go, no, I need to focus on my people that are here working. They're more important, not the people in this FUD group, not the people that are commanding me to pump the price and force the release. I need to take care of these people here who are actually doing all the work.
I can't remember who said this to me, but it wasn't very long ago. Somebody said, "Hey, when you have a problem with Windows on your computer, do you call Microsoft and talk to Bill Gates?"
Right, exactly.
And if so, is he going to answer you?
It's a good analogy. Because we're still connected.
It's realistic.
We're also very connected and close to our communities. People don't realize
that. Yeah, exactly. But then people try to take advantage of that. They're like,
yes, they do. I think the difference is that what we have, and I think compared to other stuff, is that with certain startups, you basically raise money, and with that money, you recruit people to join your company. Then you create a product, and then you create that product. You spend money maybe testing it, or you spend a lot of money advertising to bring in people. This was a little bit different. You had a token sale. You had a plan and roadmap. You attracted a ton of people to this. You received, their crypto for our crypto, right? And then all of a sudden you had these people waiting and waiting and waiting. And the difference is now you have actually potential customers. You're hoping that those are potential customers. That's why they bought, not just for the pump and dump or whatever it is, right? But that's what you have, which is so unique, that you have actually people that are interested in it. So when I talk to the beta people and I talk to people, I ask them, are you going to use any of this stuff? And I say, oh, well, not really. And you're like, well, then why are you bitching? I'm trying to cater to the... I always tell people, I said, listen, there's only 13,000 people in our group. And guess what? I could pay 30 grand right now to triple this group right now. I can triple this group. I can quadruple this book by paying for ads to move people to my group. But is that really doing any purpose right now, right? Does that make any sense? Is there a product that we can sell right now where if I'd spent that money, they can actually do something? And the answer is no. Then I'm like, well, then I'm not spending any money until it makes sense. So it's just a business thing. Some people get it, some people don't. I'm very surprised the level of the breadth of it, to be honest. I do spend sometimes explaining things, and then people are like, oh, and they're calm when I explain it. And it's like, I'm exhausted sometimes, but I do it because I like to educate and help. But at the end of the day, it's stressful and tiring, I guess is the right word. Anyway.
Well, I got to say, the communities do a really good job of putting out a lot of the fires. I mean,
they do.
Every once in a while, somebody will write me and say, hey, man, I just saw this really bad article about Verge. Oh, my God. And they're panicking. And then I look and I see that like all the responses to that article on Twitter were from people in the community that were, just like, this is bullshit. This is garbage. Don't listen to it.
Right.
So it's like, oh, well, did you see what everybody said?
Yeah, I think when you have a good group of people that are admins, and there are people that are non-admins that are really there to help out and actually protect you. I think that's nice. That's the nice aspect of it, right?
Definitely.
Those are the happy days when you see stuff like that and people are like like how, and to us I find it even crazy because I tell them, yeah, we have a partnership with like Litecoin, and they're like, that's bullshit, and I'm like, okay. At that point, that's it. The conversation stops. I said, okay, all right, that's it. It's over. Like we're not talking because I mean,
not much more to say after that.
Here I am, like doing all this stuff and literally all this stuff, and I'm just like, okay, all right, that's it. We're done. It's like there's no rationale to that argument. So I don't want to keep this too long. So let's just get a few more questions from this group. We've been going on a lot of different stuff.
Yeah.
But it's good. This feels like therapy to me. This feels like therapy to me. All right. So let's see. Any questions?
It's just starting.
Oh, it's just starting.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Don't even know what to say. The Verge trading pairs for eFIN. That's a very good question. I actually don't even remember, but I do know we added them to all the main ones. Bitcoin, I believe Ethereum, TPay, I believe also Litecoin, and then Bitcoin, obviously.
Yeah, I think it's like the top 8 or something like that, right?
Yes. We try to do as many as possible, and we're adding, obviously, a ton of other coins. So the easiest thing to do is add ERC20, as you're very well aware.
Yeah, sure.
So that's not difficult for us to add like 50 ERC. The problem is we can add an ERC, but how many people are actually going to want to trade it, or whatever. Right. So we'd rather stick to the top 50 projects or top 100 that actually make sense. And it's not by what CoinMarketCap ranking is. It's actually by the volume that we see, and we see the exchange that they're on, because we see exchanges that have like 10 million in volume, and then we see the name of the exchange and we're like, all right, forget it. Like we know that it's fake, so we won't add that in our lists. We know who's real. Cryptopia actually hurt us, and also we felt there was a lot of real volume on Cryptopia. So when we looked at the list of ones, we looked at Cryptopia as the main one. That's why I was so sad when they kind of had their problems, because they actually had real legitimate volume. Like when you literally saw.
If I'm correct though, nobody lost their TPay on Cryptopia.
No, nobody lost their TPay. Nobody lost. I believe their Verge for sure. They didn't lose. Basically, any coin that was
just tokens.
Literally ERC, and it was a wallet of the ERCs. There's I think three wallets that were ERC, or 2 or 3, and one of them got affected. And
they lost all their Ethereum too, though, I think.
Yes,
right?
They did. So anything that was Ethereum based basically was the one. I mean, like, what do you expect,
including
man?
Ethereum.
What do you expect when you have a coin that has the same infrastructure and ability to do it, and you can take one, you can take 50. I mean, it's like all it takes is one bad wallet. I mean, whatever it is, whatever setup they had. I mean, it was just absolutely.
That's why
stupid.
I tried to explain to so many people when ERC20 tokens started becoming a big thing. I started trying to explain to so many people, like, you're not getting anything. This isn't really it's not a blockchain. You're not getting a coin. This isn't. You're just investing in it's like getting a piece of paper and saying, like, I own a share in this company. Here it is.
Right. And it wasn't even a share. It wasn't even a share either. It wasn't even a share.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So the thing is that it was just literally, whatever it was, an email. That's really what it was. It was an email. What's the value of an email?
A glorified email, yeah.
Exactly. What's the value of an email? And so I think at the end of the day, obviously it has a lot to do with the team behind it. But yes, what we didn't like about that when we were talking before and starting stuff, we wanted to have a real blockchain, something that we can actually stake our saves. We're good with the blockchain. We don't have anything here that's like that. And it also decreased the probability of somebody stealing or doing anything. And I think that's what I think some of the best projects out there are all made those decisions, in the correct way, right?
Right.
So I think that was important. Yeah, they're asking about exchanges. We will be adding other exchanges, some of the big ones, but I can't say the name. Obviously, I have to sign stuff with them. It's important for us to obviously increase liquidity. Obviously, we're focused on increasing liquidity as much as possible within eFIN. We know that. But we also know that some people don't want to try something new. They want to have access to the centralized exchange.
At the same time, too, I think I could probably speak on your behalf when I say that you really want to continue building out TokenPay and what it is before you even go yourself and present yourself to exchanges.
Agreed.
You want to look, we did this and we did this and we did this.
I can probably vouch to Binance. I think that obviously we've had we've applied and everything with them, but I think they really just asked, like, what have you done? What have you actually done, and what are you doing, and this and that. They've asked some pretty good questions. And they weren't the only ones. Bitrex did the same thing. They said, what have you done? And what happened was, before having a blockchain was enough, now they're basically trying to at least filter stuff. And they're like, what else have you done? Is this just a project that you're just going to go in, this and this and that? And now when we're releasing stuff, now they're starting to see, oh, okay, fine, you've done this, you've done this, you've done that. So they didn't consider an acquisition of a bank stake to be of value to the TPay blockchain. They said that doesn't create value to the TPay blockchain. And I said, well,
but although it is proof of your vision.
It is proof of the vision. It is proof of the roadmap. But what I was trying to explain is, this an infrastructure. I'm building a 100 tower building, and what I did was laid the foundation so that I can start from the building. And do you not understand that that's the whole point? It's like,
but because there's no windows and doors yet, they're saying
there's no windows and doors and no lights on, then there's no reason for me to do that. So I said, okay, fine. So I literally would have to postpone adding to those exchanges because they asked us these questions. Now we're talking to them again. It's like, listen, we did this. Now, because we're doing a decentralized exchange, now we have a different quagmire. Now you're a competitor, and that's a different problem. It's like, well, are we really competitors? You're catering to this market, I'm catering to that one. And then, it hasn't happened to us, and we've talked to another project where some of them were starting to ask really detailed questions to the point of spying. and actually getting internal information about how we build these things.
Wow.
And now it becomes an issue because you want to be listed on that exchange to increase your liquidity, but they're in turn turning it around and turning it into an interview as spying to understand what you're building so they can copy and steal it.
Right. Yeah, that's wild, man.
So now what do you do as a business person? You've got this quagmire, you've got my pressure from the community, I need liquidity to be able to do certain things, and should I give up all my keys to this exchange? Because their reply is, we're doing our due diligence.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, yeah, not really. You're not doing your due diligence. You're actually asking me for source code and for me to give you my business model, you know? And they're like, and that's when it starts to become a problem with me. And I'll tell them, if that happens, I know it's happened to other projects. I'm not going to name them. But if that happens to me, I'll literally say, oh, you know what? Thanks a lot for your time. And I will make this public. I will make this public. Yeah. And I'm going to let everybody know what you did. And I'm not going to stop my crusade to let everybody know and warn everybody that this is what you're doing. But it hasn't happened to me, so I'm not doing that. But to me, it's one of those things where there's a line. There's a line, and I think once you cross it, it's like, all right, now it's not business. Now it's espionage, basically.
Yeah.
And at that point, it's over.
Now it's personal.
Now it's personal. Yeah. And then, you get extorted again. Or something. All right. Do a couple more questions. Yeah. Let's see. Let's see. When Token Gaming. So yeah, Token Gaming is now going to be part of CryptoBet. So CryptoBet will be kind of the private label. So we'll have that in there so you can have your own casino and stuff like that. Obviously with following regulations and stuff. CryptoBet's going to be really big, Justin. I mean, gambling's going to be big, but CryptoBet, I feel like
that's an industry kind of like the adult industry. It's one of those ones that just there's nothing you can do to make it go away.
Pretty much. I mean,
you can outlaw it. You can tax it. You can do whatever you want, and it's not going to go away.
It's not going to go away. So we feel like with CryptoBet, it's definitely an opportunity. We're probably going to do a soft launch soon.
Oh, that's a good question. How many partner spaces do you have left?
A few thousand. So we have more than 1,000 and less than 5,000. I guess is our official answer. But
yeah, I don't think anybody's expecting an exact number from you.
No, not now.
Roughly.
No, but I think it's two problems. I could spend a ton of money right now and fill them out, right? But it's not the purpose of filling them out. It's the purpose of whether are these people really going to be. What we're looking for is basically we have this number of 25,000, which is a lot. How long it's going to be filled, I don't know. How long it's going to take to be filled at 25,000. It could be 2 months. It could be 3 months. If this was bubble period, it would have been filled out in a week.
Sure.
Right? But it's not. We're not in that scenario. And I'm okay if we sell it over 6 months, as long as it makes sense for us. Now, what I prefer is that we have 25,000 ambassadors and fanatics, not 25,000 people that are dormant and do nothing, because it is much more powerful.
Quality over quantity.
Exactly. That's really what it is at the end of the day. Because I'd rather have 25,000 loudspeakers that are helping us grow than 25,000 people that are just like sitting there collecting checks and that's it. And that's why to me it's there's a little bit of a filter. That's why increasing the price makes sense, because it does filter the people who are looking at this as like a quick money making thing. And it every time you raise the price on anything, it filters in some way, good or bad. It filters. Sure. But to me, the model makes sense if you have 25,000 fanatics. So that's the way we feel. Now Platinums, on the other hand, those are a different ball game. So they're basically making a big bet on eFIN coin, obviously, but they're also making a bet because we've stated that anybody that has Platinum, and we're capping that to 10,000. So we're very far away, because I mentioned the number, what it was, like 100 and something. The Platinum people will be part of the TokenPay ecosystem. So when we launch merchants and we launch all these other projects, which will take months, if not maybe a year or so, any fees collected from those will be split to those people, only those people. So
how long does the partnership last? Like, say I sign up to be a partner,
it's
how long am I a partner?
A year, and it's a year from the day the exchange launches. So if we launch, let's just put a random day. If we launch May 1st, then it's May 1st from that day. So it's not from today, it's from that day. So of course that's unfair, right? We're not going to say it's going to launch now and blah blah blah. But yeah, so the platinum people are actually going to have a piece of the merchant services. They're going to get a piece of escrow. They're going to get a piece of the mobile wallet, because there are some fees there. Anything that if we do credit card stuff on the mobile wallet, they're going to be part of that. The goal eventually is to have earner.com, which is like a gig website. Any fees there, but we have to build these websites to be as autonomous as possible, because I really don't want to hire 100 people to run these things. Just very simple things. You can put a post, you can do an escrow, but any fees from there. But the whole point of having 25,000 ambassadors is those 25,000 people will recruit and bring 10 times that, so hopefully 250,000 people, and then those people will be able to use a bunch of our products and services. So that's the way we look at this. And in exchange, also what it does is it brings people from other communities. So we can talk crap about other communities, but we have no problem bringing in the Ethereum community and the Tron community, because at the end of the day, we're doing a service which is helping them make sure they don't lose their coins. Whether we may have our differences and why you like Tron or why you like Ethereum or why you like whatever, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, when you're using a decentralized exchange, we're on the same idealistic value, which is we want to have control of our own assets and not be a victim. I don't care who you are, whether you own the shittiest coin in the world and I think you're silly for buying it. I don't care, but what I do care is that you had your stuff stolen. And that's the worst part. I don't care. I don't care what coin. It could be the worst. I don't care. But if you had a platform where
I always feel terrible when I
horrible.
See,
it's the worst feeling in the world.
People lose their stuff. I've been kind of outspoken, I guess I'd say, against the RC20 tokens for a long time. But I still feel terrible for everybody that lost them on Cryptopia. That really sucks.
Electronium had a ton of people in Cryptopia. And because it was the first exchange that Electronium launched on. And it was a bunch of people, and they had like a few 100,000 people that bought, and most of them were from India. And imagine those people...
Who's also going through their own economic crisis.
Yeah, and so any dollar makes sense, right, to impact their family. So, but to me, it just sucks. It sucks, and it's like the worst feeling in the world. So... it is our answer to have this, but I think like at the end of the day, we're not, we don't care. We're unbiased. You're joining eFIN. I don't care, what you wear, what you do, what you say, as long as at the end of the day.
How about that Quadriga exchange where the guy, allegedly died and he was the only one with the keys?
I don't believe all of that is true. I do believe what happened.
I have a hard time believing that too.
Yeah, I believe that there really is nothing in those keys and that the assets are not really there. I think they lied about the number of assets. I don't believe it's 190 million.
I think the guy faked his death.
I also believe that he faked his death.
Who dies from Crohn's disease?
It's very rare, and going to India.
I know people with Crohn's, and you would never know they had anything wrong with them unless they actually told you.
That's true. There's football players with Crohn's disease. David Culpepper.
Yeah, dude. There's people with Crohn's that are like in better shape than like you or I.
And and of course he picked the perfect country, India, which everybody has bowel problems, right? And and not everybody, but like you go to India and you eat food, some people have problems, right? I've never been to India, but I've been to other countries, and I was always warned, but I was okay. And I think it's just amazing that he picked that country. Now, what I do believe that happens is they did have a certain amount of assets. They somehow either got hacked a long time ago, made a really bad trade, lost a lot of money, and tried to make it back. They kept on claiming that those were the assets, but in reality, there never was. And so they kept on putting them in other assets and other exchanges, trading them, and trying to make that money back. The bear market basically...
all during a bear market.
The bear
they were
market,
just feeding bears.
The bear market basically screwed them over big time. But
that's got to be they screw themselves over.
Oh no! I get that.
But I know what you mean. But I mean,
at the end of the day,
nobody forced them there.
Agreed. Whatever position they took, if it was a hack, then they should have been honest a long time ago, and they weren't. If it was malfeasance and said that they took the assets and started trying to trade away their loss, which is it happens all the time in Wall Street. They have a loss for 500 million, they try to make it right back doing some other trade, right? I mean, and they try to hide it before the quarter.
Yep,
and now they try to postpone it. So people it's normal for people to try to do this. I mean, I get it. I get the psychological and human aspect of trying to do it. Now, Binance, supposedly was claimed to have lost coins and nobody really cared. It was like a little bit of a hack. We have it on our website, 45 million. But I mean, what I found out later when I talked to a lot of people who were running exchanges and people that were inside exchanges, they said that 95% of the coins that they actually possess are actually not in a hot wallet. They're actually in a cold wallet. And what they trade is basically all the coins that are traded in and out are actually cold wallet type credits, which is basically what Blockstream is. So basically, if they have 20,000 Bitcoins, basically 5% is on a hot wallet, and anytime anybody does withdrawals, that's where they take out. Okay.
Yeah.
But then all the real Bitcoin is actually in a cold wallet, and what people really are trading, even though it's an internal exchange, internal ledger, it's actually credit, like an actual credit of what's actually being traded back and forth, which is interesting. So basically, a lot of exchanges will only limit their exposure to 5% of loss. Smart exchanges limit themselves to 5% of loss. Let's put it that way. And I think 5% is okay. If you're making a lot of money, you'll probably make it back in a month.
Yeah.
So depends. It really depends on the exchange. So, okay. All right. I think we're good. I'm not sure if I'm not sure if there's any really other good questions here, unless you know.
Yeah, I think people are really just kind of hanging out now and just listening to us talk.
So funny. That's a good question. Do you think Airbnb or Uber will ever accept crypto TokenPay as a payment? Is there anyone... Okay, the answer is yes, I do believe, because Airbnb and Uber are the most global-minded and millennial-focused businesses that are basically have a high chance of doing that.
Yeah, they almost have to.
They have to, because eventually people are going to get annoyed from it. When, I don't know. I think what they're testing or waiting for is for somebody like Jack from Twitter and Square to really like give the sign up, when things are ready. And then when that happens, I think that's when they'll be able to like really launch it. I think everybody's really waiting for like the Lightning Network and something a little bit faster and a little bit more secure. And I think they're not ready for that yet.
Did you watch the interview with Jack on
Joe Rogan?
Yeah, Rogan.
Yeah,
that was
fantastic.
Really interesting.
It's fantastic.
I kind of walked away from that with mixed emotions.
Yeah.
I feel like they didn't really realize that they censor on their platform the way they do.
You mean Joe Rogan?
No. Jack on Twitter.
Like, he definitely I don't
censors. I mean, obviously, I know that he's very pro Bitcoin, but I don't think that they realize overall that because they're human, they have a bias and that they censor.
They do censor a lot of stuff, actually.
They essentially pick sides.
They have picked sides, absolutely. I think the problem is it's not specifically Jack's side. It's Silicon Valley, California type this type of side that really doesn't allow a level of free speech. But the whole argument is it's a private company and there's their platform, they can do whatever they want. Right. And now you're like, well, it's like me buying a microphone and the microphone company says no, you can't use our microphone because it's our tool. And like, well, you kind of led me into this belief that I can express my opinions and my thoughts, and now you're telling me that I can't.
It's definitely an interesting. It's a conundrum when you look at, yes, everybody should have the right to free speech. Everybody should have the right to the internet. But then you look at all the most popular platforms are owned by private companies.
Yeah.
So you say, well, where now you're saying something different. Do you feel like you have the right to say whatever you want on a private platform?
Right. And I think that's what it is. People were led to believe that this is a platform that they can say whatever they want. But it's not really the truth. It's only you're allowed to say whatever they want as long as they approve it. That's really what it is. And it's really crazy. Around like the elections for Trump, I mean, I saw people that were writing, pro-Trump stuff, and I don't care really anymore about politics. I stopped because I realized I can change the world more being a billionaire than being a politician. So I really didn't care, good or bad. Okay, I mean, it doesn't matter whether I'm changing the world in Africa or somewhere else like Bill Gates and Warren Buffett now, right? But at the end of the day, I don't really want to get into politics. It's really doesn't.
Oh yeah, I would definitely say that those guys are philanthropists like that definitely change the world more so than just
of course, than politicians or anything. Yeah, of course. I mean, the fact that Warren Buffett also gave his fortune to Bill Gates. I mean, like, what is that? You go from a $50 billion foundation to $100 billion and pretty quickly. it's pretty impressive. And that's also because he understands that the higher concentration of intelligence is much more powerful than spreading that money to 50 other organizations that are going to squander and do stupid shit.
Right, exactly.
It's basically like going all in. You're going all in on the person, going all in on the vision, going all in on, his life expectancy is, 30 years. So it's great, or 20 years. That 20 years of impact is better than any of these other organizations are going to squander it in stupid stuff. So, but yeah, I think at the end of the day, they have censored a lot. They've done a bunch of stuff, and I think it's going to change. New stuff comes out. Look at Gab. I actually know, so Gab, you know Gab, right? By any chance?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know Gab. Okay.
Yep.
So Gab was part of this group that I was in for entrepreneurs. His name is Andrew Torba. And, I remember him in the circles and talking. And then, every time he got like something with raising, he would like talk about it. Then all of a sudden, he wrote this post and he was like, I was just kicked out of this Y Combinator because of, my being conservative. And then he wrote some posts on his platform in Facebook. And then people from the entrepreneur group got mad at him for writing that post. It was very conservative, very pro. I don't even know if it was pro-Trump or anything, but it was very, very conservative. But it wasn't like racist. He didn't say anything like go KKK. He didn't say anything like that. Right. And then he got kicked out of the entrepreneur group. And then he was like, fuck these guys. And then he just went on a rampage. And then he left California and he moved to where he's, I think the Midwest or something like that. And it was interesting. And then all of a sudden you started seeing Google canceling stuff from him. And this company started canceling from him. And then Coinbase started canceling his accounts. And then it got to the point where, he just had to accept some random, some other company to accept Bitcoin. Because that's the only way that he could survive was by accepting Bitcoin. Because no payment processor wanted to deal with him.
Well,
that's crazy.
WikiLeaks dealt with the same thing.
Huh?
WikiLeaks had to deal with a lot of that kind of stuff.
Well that's obviously obviously because it's connected to the government, but
political, yeah.
Yeah, I mean this guy was creating a platform, and it did attract obviously some people, but hey, there's people out there that say crazy shit on Facebook all the time, but it's not too
on every side. Across the spectrum.
Across the spectrum. So yeah, I think it's very interesting how they kind of like were pretty hypocritical about it. But I saw it with my own eyes. And I saw somebody that was in a group that was, lauded and applauded to one day being shamed and kicked out, which is, I think, absolutely crazy. All right, we'll just take one more question, then we'll head out of here. It's RE640, don't want to spend too much time. Okay. Any plans on expanding the marijuana business using TPay as a payment system? Bitcoin tried and failed. Actually, I don't think that Bitcoin tried and failed. I actually have some friends that own marijuana businesses in Seattle, and they asked me about this. And the issue isn't really accepting crypto. They have no problem accepting crypto. In fact, they love actually accepting crypto. But the issue is converting that money. Who's going to convert it?
Into fiat.
Right, and not only that, it federally still marijuana is illegal, even though it's not in the state that they're in. Sorry. So
right. See, they need fiat to be able to pay the bills.
Absolutely.
The electric and stuff like that. And you can't
unless the utility company starts accepting crypto, then they can solve at least one part of their problem.
I think because we have legalized or recreational medical marijuana in most of the United States now, I think a lot of people don't really understand the behind that. Like crypto is the perfect solution, but in order to pay their bills, they need fiat, and it's literally not legal or possible for marijuana companies to have bank accounts. Mm-hmm. So a lot of them end up stockpiling cash in safes, which is obviously very unsafe, and crypto is the solution to that. But how do they convert their crypto to cash and pay their necessary bills, their employees, salaries?
This is why adoption is taking too long, and it's going to take a while, because if you do not have the vertical infrastructure all accepting crypto, then you're always going to have this whole fiat thing situation. You need everybody to accept crypto. If a customer pays in crypto, does the business owner pay their employees in crypto? Do they pay their bills? Do they pay their suppliers in crypto? Now
I'm
that's
sure you
happened.
saw, what is it, Ohio or some state
Yeah,
is allowed
taxes,
to pay your
Ohio.
state income tax. Yeah,
Okay, that's great. That's income
it's
tax.
definitely that's definitely a big step in the right
That's one
direction.
step, right? But then now it's utility bills, income taxes, paying for your license renewal fees.
Right.
There's that. But the business wise, you have to be able to.
But the more of those that jump on,
Sure,
especially like
sure.
utility, if utility companies start accepting crypto across the board, then nobody would have to worry about the federal ban on the bank accounts.
Right. That's exactly right. They could just start paying that way. I mean, it's just one of those things where I think Ohio is actually being progressive because it makes sense. They're trying to recruit a ton of people over there, especially crypto people, because it's like just like Wyoming
And
is.
as a state, they can even use it as an investment.
Totally.
They
They
could
can.
even say,
Well, they
hey,
could just say
we're going to
we're hoarding
we're going to
Bitcoin,
put
and
5 or 10% of this aside, and hopefully it grows into something of more value.
and then they can pay their bonds.
Yeah,
Like they
they
can
can
pay
pay
their
their bonds. Yeah.
bonds. And they cannot be a state that's in debt. I mean, whether it's Miami or Florida or Ohio or whatever it is, right? Cities and okay, so I'll say something. We had a meeting with FIU. We've been having back and forth meetings with them for crypto, and they're getting closer to accepting it. And they gave me some numbers, and they said this is the number of international students that we have. And I said, okay, great. He's like, this is the actual real number of people that actually come into this campus that are from international, blah, 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 from China. And okay, it was like 500. And I was like, okay. Because what I said to them was that the highest chance of people using crypto are actually people from China, people from maybe Turkey, whatever. And so they gave me a geographic list of all the students. Number one country that FIU receives was from China. And I said, what percentage of these people do you think will use crypto? I would say maybe like 5% or less are going to use this. And I go, but it's not about today. It's about being there the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, potential years. Not being ahead, not being behind, because millennials and even young parents are starting to use crypto, and they'll get it real quick. But they told me, then the FIU was telling me, like, yeah, the amount of cash that we receive in Miami is insane. And I go, what? People come in with suitcases of cash to pay tuition, or bags of cash, taking 20 grand like nothing. And I go, because they're from Central South America, and obviously they don't trust their own banking system. It's not that it's drug
UAE.
money. If you're a narc, you don't go to FIU.
People from the UAE, when they come here, they bring a lot of cash.
They do.
They even bring their own vehicles.
They do. That's the other extreme, right? But I'm just like, I was actually in shock about how much cash was actually being received in FIU. So for them, it was like, the problem is not accepting crypto. I know that we can accept crypto for the foundation, and we're ready to do that when it's ready for us to announce that. But the issue is, like, it's not about just accepting crypto. It's all the infrastructure and the stuff, the databases that have to be aligned to make sure. But the university at the end is not receiving crypto. We would be receiving the crypto, and we would automatically convert it to dollars, and then we would ship it to them, whether it's a Swiss entity or a U.S. entity that would be able to help them. So the university actually never touches crypto unless they want to, and that was one of the conversations. They were saying, should we have some level?
The university could refer this third party who handles that. Yeah. Boom.
Exactly. So
that's nice.
That's the negotiations that we've been going back. I mean, this has been literally
third party bank based out of Germany.
Actually, we have the tokens. We have Token Suisse, which is in Switzerland, that does it for them.
Switzerland, yeah.
So
perfect.
It was like, to pick a country. You pick a country, and we'll be able to do it for you.
Yeah.
But it's going to take a while, and they're like, well, it isn't that. But finally, I'm getting pushed because the dean of the university is really into blockchain. She gets it. She's also Chinese, or from the south of China. So she's like, I get it. And I'm like, okay, all right, good. We're finally have somebody that understands.
Yeah, that'll be really big. That would be a really big deal for crypto. Even though one college, isn't an insane amount of people, the fact that a large thing like a tuition being paid for with it is a really monumental step.
It's a monumental. I mean, they're number 4 in the country as largest university in the United States. So if they do it, then all the other private universities or public universities start to do it as well.
Will start to fall in line, sure.
Exactly. So they're telling me, oh, you need to call this company because we're using this company for international payments. If you work with them, then it would make sense. But that's only on the international side. I'm like, okay, what about domestic? And I said personally, I don't think a lot of Americans that are doing financial aid are going to use crypto unless, they made money. I've met a lot of kids that are in there, here in America that did crypto and they have like 50, 100 grand. So maybe they would. I don't know, but I said we definitely need to go after the international market first because that's definitely where the need is and where there's probably a high chance of them using it. Domestically, potentially over time. It depends on a myriad of factors, right? But it's just a process, and me also understanding what they want and what they need, and it's going to be months and months. But it's these conversations that people will ask us. Well, some people said, "Oh, you announce all this stuff with NDAs," but we all know that's all shit. And I'm like, really? Do you want to be on 10 p.m. with a call in the Philippines? Because I have it right now, and it's a lot. And I flew over there, met with them, and I'm like, do you think I want to fly to the Philippines just to do And Manila, which I like the Philippines, but Manila's not like the most fun city. I'd rather go diving or whatever it is in some island in the Philippines. I haven't even done that, so I just it's just absolute silly. But there was one question, we'll take it, and then that's it. It's will crypto bet revenues be part of the platinum? That hasn't been decided yet, but the answer is probably no. It's because we want to separate those two things, just because the gambling in itself is a completely different animal compared to the TokenPay ecosystem, and crypto.
That would have to be a different business.
Yeah, it will be because it's just too much really to handle, and we're actually working with like other companies to back it and stuff like that, and
that has its own overhead and stuff.
Literally, it's literally legally a completely different division because the bank or anything with crypto or anything with a bank cannot be associated to an entity of like gambling. So it's literally a completely business, and we had to do that. It is the only way it makes sense. But it's all benefit because at least if you have one of the largest crypto casinos out there that accepts TokenPay, Verge, Litecoin, whatever, why not? That's just another way of adoption. Whether it's gambling or not, doesn't really matter. So, okay. All right, man. Thanks a lot for the time. Really appreciate it.
Likewise.
Well, hopefully one day I'll go where you are.
I'll probably actually be in Miami again. Probably in another week or two. I'll shoot you a text or something.
Okay. All right. We'll do. All right, man.
Yeah, because last time I came down, I think you were busy.
Yes, I'm always busy. I'm actually traveling. I'm actually traveling next week to Europe, and then for 2 weeks, come back. Then I go to Asia for a month, and got to be there for a month, and then probably meet a couple of companies, exchanges, OTC companies, and start. Now we got to meet them so we can say, hey, look, this is our eFIN. Here it is, and show them. And awesome. It's the whole point is to show that it's available in China. That's important. Because Tor is optional, so if some people want to have it, but Tor is not available in China. But I can say, listen, you can still use this in China. Yeah. So this is
you could even show them how to use bridges in Tor.
Yeah. Well, I try to limit myself to the Chinese government is really good now about certain things. I just show
true. Yeah, you don't want to mess that up.
They monitor a lot now. Actually, the hometown of my nephew, or whatever, it was the first city in all of China where they tested facial recognitions and had credit scores on every citizen.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw some literature about that.
That city was the city where they started. I couldn't believe it.
That's wild.
It's crazy shit. But I understand why they're doing it. But I understand the power and the ability for them to change people's lives in a bad way. But the reason why they did it is, I'll give you a quick story. They had this Good Samaritan law, actually an actual Good Samaritan law, that you were not allowed to help somebody in the street if they fell. And it was because people were getting into fake accidents, and then they were claiming that you did it, and because there was no camera, then basically you would be responsible for their hospital bills and pay them a fee or a fine or whatever because of the damage that you caused them.
Well, I think that's still in America, isn't it?
Oh, totally, an extent, right? You fall and trip, oh, that was you. But in China, it became so rampant.
Or especially something like CPR. If you try to give somebody CPR, and they die anyway, then they can end up suing you. So, a lot of people say you're better off not trying to give the stranger CPR.
Yeah, that's pretty much the same thing. It got to the point though that people were literally throw themselves on cars. And then people in China started using the dash cams, and then they created this whole citizen score because people were doing a lot of shady stuff, and they actually wanted to correct behaviors. This is not right. This is right. So they're trying to create a culture, because remember they don't have religion, and obviously I know everybody has opinions about that, but the point is they were trying to create this culture of what the rules or what's right or what's wrong. But they could also go to some guy that they hate, some government official, go in and change the score and be like, yeah, that guy cheated on my wife or did something really shitty.
There's definitely a lot of dangerous things that could be derived from it. Like here in America, a lot of people don't know about Trapwire. Have you ever read about it?
No, I haven't.
So there's actually a guy in jail right now by the name of Jeremy Hammond who hacked into a company called Stratfor and found data that they were basically hired by the U.S. government to build a system called Trapwire, which is where, those little cameras that are on traffic lights?
Yeah.
A lot of people think that those are just used to measure traffic and stuff like that. But those are actually all tied into a facial recognition network. Wow. And a lot of people don't know that, but you can actually Google all this information. The documents are still, I believe, on WikiLeaks. But it's called Trapwire, and it's got facial recognition and license plate recognition. And the thing I think that bothers me, I mean, I understand the need for security and being able to, the need to find people, in the country. I kind of understand that. I'm not just completely against the idea. But the thing that bothers me is that it's run by a private company, so it was contracted. Our government doesn't run that; a private company does. So now, if you know somebody at this private company, you can probably find a way to have them use it for you, which is definitely against the law. I mean, I believe that the system is probably against the law as it is. But then on top of that, we have things like the Amber Alert, which is to find missing kids, and they'll text you with a license plate. Well, if we have the system right here that's got license plate and facial recognition, why aren't we using it for that?
Yeah. They pick and choose what they want to use stuff for, and I think that's the really scary thing, right?
Yeah.
So all I know is that given our position in the crypto world, I travel with no crypto on me. I travel with no assets. I try to be careful where I stay. Physically, I don't tell people where I'm staying. I mean, it's just. And in China, believe it or not, if for whatever reason, if we become more and more successful and we're more known and we're more of a threat for some of these other governments, for whatever reason, I don't want that to be the case. But
it's a really popular way of spreading spyware in China is through anything USB related. So if you go to a stand and you buy a phone charger, that phone charger USB might actually have like a solid state inside of it that's got software on it. So when you're actually plugging it in, you think you just got a phone charger. You plug it into your laptop, and you're actually getting malware on your laptop.
Wow.
And don't even know it.
I wouldn't be surprised, man. I mean, they've been doing stuff like this for a while, but they do it on their own citizens, let alone foreigners that go in. So.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, let me know when you're ever here, and I guess we'll keep in touch all the time since we talk all the time. Yeah. So thanks a lot for stopping by. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you got it, man. Good luck. I'll see you soon.
Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye.
Later, guys.
Bye. Bye, everybody.